Greetings, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. You can't afford free speech, so you may as well pay attention. Today's video, we're going to talk about why, as an artist, as a creative entity, as whatever you identify yourself as, it's extremely important and crucial that you put out what it is your soul's trying to put out. Don't limit yourself, don't stop yourself, right? Don't worry about what people think and how they judge your art. Put your fucking art out. It's supposed to be out, okay? I hope I make that clear. And there's a spiritual reason for this, right? So if anything is hindering you from being the person that you are, expressing the energy that you're supposed to express, it's going to clog up and it's going to cause things to happen that you don't want to happen, right? So freely express yourself. I'm going to read a passage from the KYBALION, and it's chapter 14. It talks about the masculine and feminine principles of mind, because the law of gender expresses itself on all planes of existence, right? On the physical plane, we understand it as sex, as a male with a penis which generates testosterone and has more of a tendency to influence, to push, to penetrate. And then the feminine principle, which exists to manifest as a female woman who naturally produces testosterone and has more of a tendency to receive, to generate, to nurture, right? These are merely classifications of styles of energy, because energy is transmitted in one of two ways. It's either masculine, which is more of, what's the word they use in this book? More of creating, more of expressing, more of giving out. And then the feminine principle is more of taking that in, nurturing it and birthing it, manifesting it. So ideas that you get, ideas that you give. Being an artist, you create, right? And that creation is something that people receive, right? That's where I'm going with this. But let me read the passage real quick. The tendency of the feminine principle is always in the direction of receiving impressions, while the tendency of the masculine principle is always in the direction of giving out or expressing. The feminine principle has much more varied field of operation than the masculine principle. The feminine principle conducts the work of generating new thoughts, concepts, ideas, including the work of the imagination. The masculine principle contents itself with the work of the will in its varied phases. And yet, without the active aid of the will of the masculine principle, the feminine principle is apt to rest content with generating mental images which are the result of impressions received from outside, instead of producing original mental creations. That's a good point right there that deserves a lot of attention. But let me read the next part real quick. Persons who can give continued attention and thought to a subject actively employ both of the mental principles, the feminine in the work of mental generation, and the masculine will in stimulating and energizing the creative portion of the mind. The majority of persons really employ the masculine principle but little, and are content to live according to the thoughts and ideas instilled into the me from the I of other minds. But it is not our purpose to dwell upon this phase of the subject, which may be studied from any good textbook upon psychology, with the key that we have given you regarding mental gender. Yeah, so that last paragraph is pretty cool, because that is talking about the importance of the whole mimetic magic thing and how outside influences really dictate and perpetuate belief systems and habits and patterns, right? Most of the average person, most of their thoughts are given to them, right? Given to them. So what did that chapter talk about? What did that little paragraph talk about? Chapter 14 about mental gender. It's talking about the two ways that spirit manifests in this plane. The masculine principle gives out. The feminine principle receives. It receives impressions, right? And with those impressions that it receives, it then generates mental images, creates imagination, it creates ideas, concepts, right? We all have ideas, right? You got how many great business ideas? How many great creative ideas, right? But as Gary Vee says, opinions and ideas, they're worthless. Not worthless, but everyone's got them. Who cares about your great idea? What I care about is which one you actually take action on. Which one do you actually go out and try, right? That's the masculine principle, right? And the paragraphs that I read was talking about how most of us don't employ the masculine principle, which is the doing, the giving, the putting out there. everybody can receive, right? When it comes to the feminine principle, it doesn't have to work. Shit comes to the feminine principle. Likewise, you know, you got these females out here. It's not difficult for a female to receive dick. It's not difficult because it comes to them. But it's a little bit more difficult for a man because he has to go out and get it. So the feminine principle, especially when we're dealing with the mind and subconscious mind, it's naturally just receiving impressions at all times from the five senses. From the eyes, which when you receive from your eyes, it generates a concept. From your ears, nose, touch, etc. We need to employ that masculine principle, right? We need to bring the divine masculine more into our lives. I'm not talking about being tough and male. I'm talking about doing, right? When you get this idea, you got to do. When you get this concept, you got to do. Do the work. That's the masculine principle that I've been pushing here. Do the work. This is how you balance yourself and balance your energy here so you can move up to meet your higher self. So as an artist, and you create, and you're worried about people judging you, stop that shit. Because you should only be concerned with actually creating, actually putting your ideas out, right? When you draw that picture, just do it, create it, and put it out there, show it, post it online. Stop worrying about who's afraid of it, or stop being afraid of who sees it and judges it. Put your art out there, because what's happening is somebody needs to see that. You've created energy and you've translated it onto the screen, onto the paper, into your song. You've translated your energy into something in this world. It serves a purpose. That was a cause, and every cause has an effect, no matter what. Create that thing that you're supposed to create. Go out and do it right now and keep doing it. Don't worry about what people are going to say about it. Your job is to do it. The art, the vibration, the frequency, that piece that you made will do its part. It'll do the rest of the work, right? So the rest of the people, they see it. Their subconscious minds, their feminine aspect, the feminine expression of their minds receives the impressions from that piece of art, receives frequencies from that art. Somebody just showed me a picture and it meant something so deep and profound to me. That's why we're all part of a big ass puzzle. That's why when you go out here and you're working with a certain spirit and you see a symbol of that spirit, you know what I'm saying? I was working with King Beleth from the Goetia, who is a cat, right? And as I'm having my transmission, I look up and notice there's a fucking painting of a cat with a halo around him. Black cat, right? That's why when you see random shit and you have these, oh, what a coincidence. What do they call those things? Deja vu. Synchronicity, that's it. When you have these synchronicities, because you never know what your message is going to actually speak to somebody else. They're going to receive it and they're going to interpret it in their own way. Don't worry about how they interpret it. Your job is to do it. So make that music, create that artwork, write that thing you're supposed to write, press record on the fucking video and just speak your mind. You don't need to have 10,000 followers. You just need to reach that person who's meant to hear it, right? And as they receive the impressions from your piece of art, it's going to generate something in them that their spirit needs. That's the way that their subconscious mind is going to communicate to them. We're all connected. Like I said in my last video, there was a Stan Lee that created that whole Marvel universe. There's a team of writers, right? The Archons around Yaldabaoth. You got the creator, you got his team, right? The creator had the original concept. The team helped to develop it and make it more powerful. That's why there's only 144,000 saved in the Bible. There's a small number of actual living souls. The rest are a creation of living souls. But anyways, that's why the things that you create can touch so many people. That's why our subconscious minds are connected, because some of us are the same entity. Some of us are the same entity communicating through different bodies. It is not about race, right? I don't care how you emotionally feel about race. That's still some physical human shit, and it will perish one day, right? Anything that has a beginning or an end does not exist. It's a figment of this imagination, of this cycle of reality, this world of the temporary, this world of impermanence, as Buddhism puts it. What does exist, what is real, is the thing that was never born, the unmanifest, the soul, that which exists beyond physical reality. And it's very difficult for some of you to accept and understand because you haven't dealt with it yet. But if you're very logical minded, very scientific minded, go look at some quantum physics, right? Look at something that can help paint the picture for you. Because there are realities that exist outside of pattern-based perception. This reality is a pattern-based perception. Nature has a cycle, right? The 4 seasons, right? The moon has a cycle. The sun has a cycle. It's just like a full moon happens every 4 weeks. A full sun happens every 4 months, right? A new sun happens every 4 months. The new sun is called summer. The Yeah, the full sun is called summer. The new sun is called winter, right? Waxing sun, waning sun, spring and fall. Everything has a cycle, a cycle, a cycle, a cycle. It's a 2 and a 4 and a 12. If it fits within that cycle, it's still locked in the illusion. That's why Christ was the 13th, because he's outside of the cycle. The 12 disciples are part of the cycle, and they represent the 12 aspects of the zodiac, the 12 aspects that the sun can manifest himself through. But that's why all of us have a zodiac sign. But what we want to get to is being the actual sun, so we don't have to be filtered through a sign. Right? You'll get there through working with your higher self more. If you want to understand how to work with your higher self more, go back to my last video that I talked about, because I made all 3 of these videos back to back. I'm really in the zone right now. Yeah. But the point of this video was to help inspire you, oh creative, living God, to create something. And don't worry about who's going to judge you. Don't worry about trying to cater it towards a certain person. Make it as pure as possible, unfiltered, right? You notice I'm not here with a perfect setup, right? I don't have my lights, right? I'm not, being Travis Magus-y. This is more the other side of the Gemini. I'm more excited. It doesn't matter. What matters is that this message is being put out, right? There's a lot of you who are going to receive this and are going to be like, holy shit, right? Some of you just at the full sun, new sun aspect. But yeah, there's nuggets everywhere. That's why it's important to speak your mind and be unfiltered, because the energy must get out. Every frequency, every vibration must express itself. If you try to block it, it's going to come out in other ways. So you might as well let the shit express itself, because it's not meant for you. You don't own that art. You don't own it. Oh, they're stealing my art. No, you don't own it. Something higher than you is pushing it out through you. You're a channel. You are a spoon in this soup. You're the spoon that is meant to stir up the energy, right? Yeah, that's that. That's that. I could go on forever, but I'm going to go inside and do some more creation. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I really do love you guys. Because some of you are me. Peace.